There's a team in the NFL that doesn't behave like a normal franchise. And the strange part is, most people have seen it happen, but they've never really noticed the pattern. Because when you hear about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you probably think of one moment, Tom Brady. But that's not the real story. The real story is what happens around the moments. Back in 1976, this team didn't just struggle. They lost their first 26 games in a row. Not a rough start. Not a rebuild. 26 straight losses. Players have said it got to the point where losing felt expected. Like something in the system just didn't work. Ownership, instability, no identity, and around the league, they weren't taken seriously. Because here's what almost no one talks about. Tampa wasn't just a bad team. It was a brand new franchise in a market that didn't fully exist yet. No real fan base, no long-term structure, and no foundation. And in the NFL, that usually doesn't fix itself. But in Tampa, it didn't fix itself. It snapped. Because just a few years later, with almost no warning, they flipped from one of the worst teams ever to the NFC Championship. No slow rebuild, no gradual progress, just a complete shift. And that's when the pattern starts. Because in the early 2000s, they built something different. Not flashy, no. Not exciting. Controlled. Calculated. And defense that didn't just win, it dictated the game. Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, John Lynch. This wasn't highlight football. This was pressure. Structure. Relentless control. And inside that locker room, people have described it as intense, disciplined, not loose, not fun, almost engineered. And then, one of the strangest moves in NFL history happens. Their head coach, John, I think it's Gruden, gets traded. Not hired. Not recruited. Traded. Like an asset. And what happens next is where it starts to feel off. Because in his first season, he takes them to the Super Bowl. But they're not playing just any team. They're playing his former team. The system he built. The players he coached. The language he understood. And players from that game have said, it didn't feel like reacting. It felt like recognizing. Roots, audibles, timing. Like Tampa was just a step ahead. And they don't just win. They dominate. And then, just like that, it disappears again. Losing seasons, quarterback instability, no direction. Years where it feels like none of it ever happened. until something happens that doesn't make sense again. Tom Brady chooses Tampa. Not the obvious move. Not the safe system. Not the legacy choice. Tampa, a franchise known for extremes. And this is where it gets interesting. Because behind the scenes, this wasn't chaos. It was alignment. The roster was already there. Pieces in place, just not activated. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, a defense that could carry games. And when Brady arrives, it's like a signal gets sent. Veterans follow. Deals happen quickly. Players take less money. Things line up. And around the league, there's always been this quiet understanding. When that many things fall into place that fast, it's unusually not random. And then it happens again. Super Bowl. Dominance. Control. But even that breaks the pattern. Because they don't just win, they win at home. The first team in NFL history to play the Super Bowl in their own stadium and win it. But even the stadium doesn't feel normal. Because Raymond D. James Stadium isn't just where they play, it's designed like a statement. There's a full-size pirate ship built into the stadium. Not symbolic, not decorative. A literal pirate ship with cannons. And every time they score, those cannons fire. Loud. Aggressive. Intentional. And it sounds like a gimmick, I know. But when you're actually there, it doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels like atmosphere. Like the entire environment is built to reinforce something. Identity. Energy. Pressure. And even the location matters. Because Tampa isn't just a football city. It's transient. Seasonal. Tourism driven. Money moves in and out constantly. Which means when something does a lock-in, it locks in fast. And when it falls apart, it disappears just as fast. And that same pattern shows up in the team. And when you step back, you look at all of it together. It stops feeling like coincidence. This team doesn't build. It resets, then spikes, then disappears, then spikes again. Extreme lows, sudden highs, no middle ground. So now, with the NFL draft happening, most people are looking for a rebuild, a timeline, progress. But Tampa has never worked that way. And if the pattern holds, this isn't the beginning of something slow. It's the start of another spike. And the strange part is, you usually don't see it until it's already happening. See you tomorrow, guys.